welcome back to Friday Film Reviews. I'm filming this on Saturday, so once again I'm late with doing this, but who cares. I'm just going to crack right into it. All the films I've watched over the past week, and I've actually watched 14. Yeah, okay, so just cracking on. Las Vegas is the first film, and it stars Kevin Kline, Michael Douglas, Robert De Niro, and Morgan Freeman as four friends in their late 60s, early 70s, who were friends from childhood, and the film opens with a scene with them as kids. And as they've grown older, De Niro's character has grown apart from the rest of them. His wife has died, and Michael Douglas is getting married to this young girl who's in her 30s, and so he's throwing this bachelor party in Las Vegas, and so he invites them all, and they kind of, pull De Niro into coming to it because he doesn't think that Michael Douglas is going to be there. And so when he turns up, he's not too happy, and there's a bit of friction there. And they basically have, a weekend in Las Vegas, and it's all about them, having fun and kind of just playing off the fact of how old they are and stuff. And they really kind of make no bones about the fact that they're, in the November of their life. And and I really enjoyed it. I mean, it didn't get great reviews, and again, people still saying what is De Niro doing with these films, but I enjoyed De Niro in this, but for me it was Morgan Freeman who stole the show, and Kevin Kline actually as well was really funny in this. But Morgan Freeman was just hilarious in this. I really enjoyed him. Really funny, especially when he's acting drunk, and it's just a really fun film. Mary Steenburgen's in it. That part of it, her part of it, I thought wasn't too great, but overall it was a fun movie. You're not looking for a classic. You're not going to compare it to fucking Raging Bull or Taxi Driver or the great films of the other men's careers, but it was a great fun movie. It was a great kind of relaxing fun movie. Really good fun movie. How many more times can I say it? Next is Escape Plan. Stallone and Schwarzenegger. The storyline is Stallone as this guy gets put into prisons to break out of them, and it's kind of his job, and he's a master at kind of escaping from prisons. He's wrote a book on the subject, and he does these jobs for various kind of prisons, and he takes this job which is like top secret, and eventually it turns out that this job is more than just him going in there to break out. He's going in there to stay in there, and it's a conspiracy against him, and he's put in this prison. He doesn't know where it is. It's the most high-tech prison ever, and Schwarzenegger is in this, and he's in that prison, and they quickly become friends, and they're trying to find a way out themselves. And that's basically what it is. I preferred the original title of this movie, which was called The Tomb, which is what this particular prison is called. I think Escape Plan is just so generic. Even when the title comes up at the beginning of the movie, it's just like, Escape Plan. The Tomb was such a cool title. I wish they kept it, but never mind. Fun movie. It was a real throwback to the 90s, I felt. Not specifically the 80s, but the 90s. It really felt like a 90s action movie, particularly with those two. And I thought Arnie was great in it. Stallone was great. There's a great scene where Schwarzenegger's like ranting and raving in German, which I thought was really kind of interesting and funny, something we hadn't seen before. His one-liners left a little to be desired. They weren't too clever, even by his standards, but it was a fun, enjoyable movie. Enjoyed it, and after seeing that, decided to go into a classic Arnie movie. That it's one of those films that, Arnie movies like Terminator 2, The Terminator, for me, Last Action Hero, True Lies, movies like that, I watch over and over again. One of them that I love but I don't watch that often is The Running Man, which is the next movie. We watched it in the same night, and so it was a good kind of Schwarzenegger double bill. I've probably only seen it about 6-7 times my whole life, but I had it on tape once when I was a kid. I got my neighbour to record it for me on video. And then I had it on tape. I think I taped over it at some point. Anyway, The Running Man, great little movie. It almost kind of predicates what Battle Royale was all about. Battle Royale, and people are like, oh, the Hunger Games ripped off Battle Royale. Well, Battle Royale kind of ripped off bits of what The Running Man was doing, but then again, I think The Running Man is based off a story someone else wrote, so it all goes backwards and all that kind of stuff. But even down to the collars around the people's necks, and if you haven't seen The Running Man, very simple, set in the kind of not too distant future, where these kind of criminals are put into this game show, where they get these kind of, I forget what they're called now, but then think of the show Gladiators, it's like that kind of thing, and they go in with all these chainsaws and these flamethrowers, and they kill these criminals as part of a game show on primetime TV, and you got all, like, old biddies in the audience loving it and stuff, and Arnie gets wrongfully imprisoned for opening fire on these innocent people, and he gets wrongfully marked down as a guy because he escapes from this place that he was in, and then they capture him again, and then they put him into the Running Man TV show. So that's what it's all about, and it's just a really fun movie. I just enjoy it a lot. It's a great kind of R-rated, good action, good Arnie action movie. Next is Star Trek, the 2009 film. Now, I don't want to go on too long, but you know, one of my goals for 2013 was to watch all the Star Trek films before Into Darkness came out. That didn't happen at all. And I've never been a huge Star Trek fan. I've always been a Star Wars guy as opposed to Star Trek. I did see bits of The Next Generation, and particularly Voyager, which I loved when I was a kid. My mum used to watch all the episodes on TV. She taped a lot of them on video. And I think I've seen most of the classic Star Trek movies, but I can't remember hardly anything about them now. But they just never resonated with me. They never stuck with me like the Star Wars movies did. I still want to go back and watch them, but I just thought, you know, I'll just start with Star Trek, because I wanted to see Into Darkness because it was a big movie from 2013, and as you know, I'm really trying to watch every significant movie from 2013, so I thought, let's watch the 2009 version, the one that J.J. Abrams released and, you know, rebooted the series. And so we watched it, and I was really surprised. I enjoyed it a lot. I loved what they did with how it fits in with the other movies, because it does. It's not to spoil anything if you haven't seen it, but I guess I'm the only person who hasn't seen it by this point, but it doesn't just completely reboot the series or go back as a prequel. It fits in with the other movies, and I loved how they did that, especially the character who appears in it, and I was like, wow, I did not expect that. I don't know how I didn't hear about it, but it was a big deal, and it was really awesome. And it was a great kind of origin movie, but again, as you find out later on, how it fits into the universe itself, and it really works within the context of Star Trek, where alternate realities and universes and all this kind of stuff is possible. So, and done a lot in the TV series and the film. So I really enjoyed Star Trek. Great movie. I wasn't too keen on Simon Pegg. His I don't want to get too deep into these, but his kind of Scottish accent was good at times, but he kind of slipped out of it in others, and I wasn't. Bit disappointed with Simon Pegg. I'm such a big fan of his. The Act of Killing is next. This is an incredible movie, the most unbelievable, shocking film I've ever seen in my life. It's a documentary. Just checking my phone a second. I won't cut this out. It's just absolutely mental. It's a documentary about these Indonesian guys who, in 1965 and 66, I believe, they committed genocide, basically. Or I don't know if it's classed as genocide, but they killed so many people, and it was communists. They killed all the communists. Chinese people, killed them. And it's now like 50 years later, whatever, and these old men, you know, they're kind of telling the story of how they killed these people, and you quickly see that they didn't really have any remorse for this or any guilt over it. And the documentary makers gave them the opportunity to make their own film about it and to portray the way they killed these people, however the way they wanted to do it. And so they did it in this weird way with like men dressed as women and in Western style and a gangster style, and it was just terrible. But it really shines a light on how despicable they were. And you see the main guy, Anwar Congo, who is this guy who I almost feel kind of what's the word? Nervous about saying his name on the internet, you know, because these guys are they're the real deal, you know, they're horrific murderers basically, and you really see how he feels guilt towards the end, and you know they film this scene where they've got all these women and children running and screaming, and they're like, you know, we're gonna kill you and all this, and the children get really upset, and it's just I just couldn't believe some of the things that were coming out of their mouths and how they were kind of talking about how movies influence the way they kill people. And there was this one guy who was kind of bragging about, you know, when we used to raid these villages back in the 60s, you know, he said, I'd rape anything that moved. And he's just sat there and he's just like, yeah, 14-year-old girls, he's going, I used to say to them, this is going to be hell for you, but heaven on earth for me. And the other guy's like, oh yeah, 14-year-old. And it was just like literally one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen in my life. For that, it's an achievement, the way that they got in there and got out with the footage that they did. Although apparently, you know, the main guy, Anwar Congo, has watched the film and he's happy with the way it represents him. So I don't know, but it just really seems like such a dangerous kind of pursuit to take in making that film. And I've got to credit the guy who made it, and also, you know, fair play to the people who did work on it, who decided to have their names taken off the film and remain anonymous. So, incredible film, harrowing to say the least. Frozen, I wanted something much lighter after that. Frozen, the new Disney film, absolutely loved it. You know, some great songs, some great visuals, you know, and it has its roots in Scandinavia, so that was cool for me to watch to kind of see the influences and stuff. I thought Kristen Bell did a great job as I think it's Anna or Elsa. I think that's the other one. I don't know. It's been I did watch it this week, but when you watch so many movies, it's hard to keep names in your head. But Kristen Bell was great. So was the woman who played the other princess. And I just enjoyed it a lot. The little snowman Olaf I thought was going to be really annoying, but he turned out to be really funny, and I enjoyed him. Just a great Disney movie. Really, really liked it. I wouldn't say it was as amazing as Tangled. Maybe it is, I don't know, I'm going to have to give it a second watch, but there's a scene where Kristoff walks into this cabin. If you've seen the film, you know who that is, but one of the main characters, Kristoff, he walks into this cabin, and he's got this jacket and this scarf around his face, and he's plastered in snow, and it just looked 100% real. The snow looked absolutely... They did their research on the snow, let's just say that, and I just thought it was a really great, almost a throwback to classic Disney. I really enjoyed it. I found myself envisioning it as like a hand-drawn animation at times. It was that good. But yeah, anyway, Frozen, very good. Short Term 12, independent film. Brie Larson stars as a woman, young woman who works at this kind of facility where kids who have nowhere to go, they stay there till they're 18, they move on, you know, this kind of thing. Kids from broken homes, that sort of deal. And she works with her boyfriend who also works there, and there's this new guy who's just started and he's learning about everything, and as he's learning about how it works, we're learning about how it works, and we see these young teenagers and these young kids and the problems they have and the issues they have, the way they deal with them, the way that Brie Larson's character helps them deal with them, but the way that she has her own problems, because she's got a lot of problems, and as you see as the film unfolds. And Edgar Wright tweeted that, you know, in an alternate reality or something like that, you know, Brie Larson would be nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars, and I totally agree with him. I think she did an amazing job in this film. I've heard her name many times, didn't really know who she was, but now I certainly know who she is, and she's a fantastic actress, and I thought this was a fantastic drama movie. 10 out of 10 for me. You should definitely check out Short Term 12 when you can. Next, About Time. This is Richard Curtis's latest film. It's a British romantic comedy, but with a twist. It's a time travel twist. We've seen this before with Groundhog Day, movies like that. So it's nothing new in that regard, but I like the way it was presented. I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but it's the son of Brendan Gleeson. Domhnall or something like that. It's a weird name when it's written down. I don't know how you pronounce it, but he was brilliant, and he played Bill Weasley in the last two Harry Potter movies, and he was great. He reminded me of Daniel Radcliffe at times with his comedic timing, and he's basically a guy who finds out on his 21st birthday from his dad, played by Bill Nye, who's fantastic in the film, that the men in the family can travel through time. They can go backwards and then back and that kind of thing. And so he has this kind of thing where he meets this girl played by Rachel McAdams, and he falls in love with her, and then, you know, his friend kind of needs, as something bad has happened to him, so he goes back to help his friend out, and then he realizes by going back he's undone the meeting he had with this girl, so he has to kind of go back and find her, and then he tries to kind of, you know, spark up the conversation again, and it goes wrong, so he has to go back and do it again, and this kind of thing, and then they get together, and then their lives move forward. And I really liked the way it was presented. I loved how it was a bit different than I was expecting, and in the end, not to spoil anything, but it doesn't really focus on their love story as a primary kind of thing. Well, it does in a way, but I think the main thing you get out of this film is not about love, but about life itself and treasuring every moment. And I thought it was a brilliant film, great acting, great directing. It was just a really, really enjoyable film. Definitely kind of almost caricatures of Richard Curtis's own kind of characters in his films. There's a few side characters in this who are really stock and just like so silky and so sweet, sugar sweet, you know. But you kind of just surrender yourself to that, and it's kind of refreshing in this day and age, or at least in the romantic films I've seen lately, just to see a nice romantic film that's nice to watch, and, you know, there's no deep, dark, depressing twist where they break up or something like that. Not to spoil anything, but it was more of a nice film, although there is quite an emotional ending, which was hard to watch, but great film. Next, The Pirate Bay, Away from Keyboard. This is a film about the three Swedish men who founded the site, The Pirate Bay, and their ongoing legal struggle, their legal battle with you know, being sued by these movie companies and stuff like that. Interesting little documentary. Hard for me to say whether or not, you know, you know, I kind of feel like they deserve, the scrutiny they're being put under, you know. And the way they kind of act as if, you know, it's silly that they should be put under the scrutiny, I think is a bit stupid. But you know, I've got to admire how much they take it head on, and it was an interesting look into, you know, again, the biggest file sharing website in the history of the internet. So definitely worth a watch if you're interested in that kind of thing. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I just, towards the end, I just didn't feel like it, and also it feels like the story kept going after the film ended, you know. And I know that one of them is in prison now, so I don't know. It felt like it was a bit too open-ended for a documentary. I don't know. Next is Stand Up Guys. I want to see this for a long time. Al Pacino, Christopher Walken, Alan Arkin. Three guys, they kind of get together over this one night. Christopher Walken has to kill Al Pacino just after he's got out of prison, because, and they're all friends, but he's been ordered, you know, to kill this guy, and who's his friend, and so he's struggling with that decision, and Al Pacino quickly figures it out, and they've kind of got to deal with it together. Alan Arkin gets brought into it later on, and Alan Arkin's just fantastic and everything. Christopher Walken was great in this. Al Pacino was great in this. It opens up like a bit of a comedy movie. Like the opening credit sequence was really fun. It was kind of also like a Tarantino kind of vibe with the music and the titles, and then the credits, and then it was kind of like, oh, this is going into a bit of a shitty comedy kind of. I'm not liking this, and then it got really good again. And then it ended really well, and I thought, that opening was a bit strange. You know, the first 20 minutes or so, there's like, you know, Pacino needs to get like Viagra, you know, and he's got a permanent erection. He goes into the hospital and his knob's sticking up, and it's just like, this isn't funny, you know. It's just, I just didn't understand it, but it got a lot better, and it got a lot funnier and more poignant towards the end as well. Really enjoyed Stand Up Guys. Star Trek Into Darkness, we watched this, and I really liked it more than the first one, I think, just because there was more action, and well, not more action, but, well, there is more action. Not to say that means a movie is better because there's more action, but I don't know. I just, now we've been introduced to the characters, so now we can just sit back and enjoy them, much like those superhero origin stories. They're great to see, but it's great to see the sequel when they're that superhero, and we can just get right on with things, just straight in, you know, first scene we're there with the guys, and I enjoyed that a lot. And I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was a fantastic villain. I thought Peter Weller was fantastic in this. Great little movie. The ending, yeah, they probably didn't need to do what they did there. There's one thing I thought they just kind of milked a bit too much, and it was kind of like, oh, well, you know, they're not going to do that, you know, and they didn't. So it was just, yeah, if you've seen it, you know what I mean. But really enjoyed Star Trek Into Darkness, and looking forward to the third one. Computer Chess. This is a independent film about a computer chess tournament that took place about 30 years ago. This is a fictional film made to look like a documentary, and it's actually filmed on video cameras. So it's 4:3. You know, it's not film. You know, it just doesn't look great. You know, and there's all these artifacts that you would get when you filmed on video cameras, and you know, the glitches and stuff, and really funny little independent movie. It took me about 3 viewings to get through. It's very slow, not much happens. There's a character in it called Papa George who I thought was quite funny, but it's really all these nerds kind of like with their computers programming a computer to be better at chess than a human, and that's what it's all about. And I honestly wouldn't recommend it, but I enjoyed it. You know, it is a tough one to get through, but I felt good at the end that I'd sat through it, because I thought it was a good film. But for me, it's kind of just maybe about 7.5, you know, that kind of a range out of 10. It was decent, but I wouldn't say go watch it. Saving Mr. Banks, penultimate film on this video. Emma Thompson plays P.L. Travers, the woman who wrote the Mary Poppins series, and it's about her struggle to relinquish the rights to her books for Walt Disney to make a movie of it in the 60s. She flies over to you know, to Walt Disney in California, and yeah, she works with the songwriters, the script writers, with Walt himself, and she's very kind of uptight and doesn't want anything changed, very proper, and you know, she's like, right, well, you know, have this recorded, have this conversation recorded, and blah blah. You've probably seen the film. Emma Thompson is great in this. Tom Hanks plays Walt Disney. He's fantastic as Walt Disney. I loved him in this film. Jason Schwartzman is one of the songwriters, and BJ Novak as well. I thought they were great. Jason Schwartzman in particular. And the whole movie is intercut between a flashback to her childhood with her father, played by Colin Farrell, who was kind of, I guess, an inspiration for the character of Mr. Banks in the film Mary Poppins. Thus the title Saving Mr. Banks, and it's about her struggle with her own father and having this film made at the same time, and it's a really, really great film. Enjoyed it a lot, and my favourite part was in the credits. We actually heard one of those recordings that she had ordered, you know, to record the sessions, and we heard her talking about the script as they were reading it out to her, and it just, you see how good of a job Emma Thompson did playing the woman. So really, really good. Finally, Pain and Gain. I'm so out of breath right now. Pain and Gain, Michael Bay film. Dwayne Johnson, Mark Wahlberg play these two bodybuilders, and there's another guy as well, but he's not as prominent as those two. Two bodybuilders who kidnap this guy who works in this gym that Mark Wahlberg works in, and they kind of keep him captive for like 30 days and get him to sign all of his money away to them and stuff like that, and take over his life, and then they try and kill him. I'm going too far into this, but basically this film involves murder, and it involves stealing millions of dollars of money, and it's played as a comedy, you know, as a black comedy, you know, and oh, how funny is this that he's trying to cut this person up with a, you know, with an axe, you know, and it just felt like it's based on a true story, and it felt to me like a really distasteful kind of film, because you're dealing with actual people who are cut into pieces, put in a barrel and thrown into a river, and you're portraying that in a movie, and it's been played for laughs, or it's been played for kind of, you know, for comedy, and I just thought that was really distasteful. And you know, Mark Kermode has talked about this, and he said that he thought it was like absolute, like, vacuous, and the absolute, you know, he just throws all these words in, like the most dreadful thing he's ever seen. But I wouldn't go that far. I did enjoy the editing of the film. I enjoyed the direction of the film. I thought Dwayne Johnson was very good. The Rock was great in this. I thought Mark Wahlberg was good, but ultimately it was the decision to kind of almost humanize these characters and almost excuse what they did. I guess not excuse, but you know, I don't want to see a film when the main characters are murderers, who for real life murderers, and it's kind of played for laughs, and it's kind of played for, you know, towards the end it's really like, you know, well, you know, Mark Wahlberg did it because it was the American dream and because he believes in fitness, and it's just like, what? You know, the performances were good, editing was really, really good, you know, some great shots, but I just don't think Michael Bay really knew what he was getting himself into. I just felt like the way the story was dealt with was very distasteful. So for me, I can't really put my stamp of approval on it. So it is what it is. And you know, for people who feel like this isn't distasteful and that, you know, it's not a problem for them, that's fine. I don't judge you for that. It's just the way I see it and the way I react to it, you know. So I just noticed the camera is slightly more up than I would like, but there you go. That's my 14, I think, movie reviews for this week. Thank you for watching. If you have anything to add about those films I've talked about, please let me know. Yeah, I'm going to give my mouth a rest now and probably drink some water. So thank you for watching. See you next time.
He says he's really cool, but I think he's a tool. Even though I'm sure he's a quite nice guy, really. He's a quite nice guy, really.